What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Kiss Capades podcast. Today I have a very special guest with me. Tried to get her in the podcast. It's been, a while, but we made it work. Shout outs to, BFF for making it easier for me.
Yes.
So I'll let you introduce yourself and then we'll take it up from there. Just tell the people your name and what you do.
Cool. Well, my name is Shivani Shah Uusi-Einola, and yes, that is my real surname because my mom is actually Finnish. So I've had people ask me why do you have something funny on your Instagram profile? What is that? And I'm like, it's my name. It's actually my name. But yeah, so this is actually the last day of me being 21 because tomorrow is my 22nd birthday. So
Wait, tomorrow is your birthday?
yeah. So so that's why it's a nice way, I think, to reflect over my time on Earth so far. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. How do you celebrate your birthdays though? Let's start with that before we go to, my main questions.
Well, it's interesting because before I always used to do, the usual big party and have lots of people over and go out. But right now, this year, I don't know, I feel very more subdued and more calm. And if I had an option, I'd probably just go to the middle of the woods somewhere and just be by myself and just reflect for a little while. So it's amazing how in a year, especially this last year, I feel so much has happened and I've changed so much. So yeah, even my interests are different. So it's my birthday's more just taking time for myself and
let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So the podcast is all about the 4 pillars of life, which I'm assuming you must be familiar with.
Yes.
Health. Help me out. Health.
Love. Happiness. I'm blanking on the last one.
And wealth.
Wealth, of course. Yeah.
So let's just start it off with, maybe your title. And maybe we'll go, or should we start with just your childhood growing up? Where do you want to start? Or should I pick?
Maybe the childhood, because I feel it all was just a continuous story.
Yeah, because that's what kind of shapes you into what or who you are.
Yeah.
Right now, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, first off, just throwing this out there. So I think with Miss India Kenya, so that's my title, Miss India Kenya 2017.
Yeah.
It just was a natural process of my growing up. So I used to have a children's television show from when I was 9 to 18.
Yeah.
So literally I just grew up essentially having a part-time job in front of the camera. So I just feel very natural in front of crowds and people.
How young were you when you started?
9. So literally oh my god, I watched the first episode of myself. It was one of those cassettes that you needed to bring out the big box and plug it in.
Yeah.
And I watched the first episode of me, and I think I had hair down to my thigh, and I had some really funny accent, and I'm like, oh my god, was that me? And then you can literally watch myself grow up over the years through these episodes that I would film. So that's how I think I got a little bit into health and cooking, and from that I just did a lot of social stuff, and so I became lots of friends with photographers, and I just sort of was exposed to that industry.
Yeah.
And then I guess Miss India Kenya was just a continuation for that.
Because I think the problem right now, it's just was saying just behind the camera, the problem is right now everybody wants to be a celebrity or that popularity contest that's going on, and once they get a certain number of followers, they're not even sure how they're supposed to act, because now there's all these expectations I have all these people looking at me, and what am I supposed to do next, and
it's a pressure. And I mean so I don't know, I don't invest, so I like photography, so for me Instagram has just been a photographic creative outlet for me to post what I'm seeing when I do travel, just the beautiful places that the world has to offer. For me it's quite creative, whereas I know people are literally making it into a business or an outlet, and I mean that way I haven't invested so much time and effort into growing my platform. So I mean, right now I only have about 3,200 followers, but still, I'm like, wow, like
Yeah.
3,000 people. It's
Yeah.
still. I mean, I still, when I go out sometimes to places, and it doesn't happen often, but I do get the few people being like, oh hey, you're that chick on Instagram,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
oh hey, you're that fit girl who like works out, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, it's interesting how it's sort
Or
of
Miss
like a,
India, you know.
or Miss India Kenya,
Yeah.
like it's just like a certain image that's just been created around me right now, and it's interesting.
And speaking of which, I mean, since you started at 9 and you know you've been doing like TV show and everything, did you feel or do you feel the need to like adapt now into like the digital platform? Because you've been doing it for like the longest time.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be just right for you to now like transform into like the YouTube community and because you've been
Oh
doing
my
it?
God,
I mean,
I would love to. Honestly, like YouTube especially, and just
Yeah.
videography, and
Yeah.
just like, again, creating content. Like I feel like if I had a dream job, it would be a content creator, because I just love sort of, you know, making content like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now it's just time, you know. Like I
What's
just
stopping
started,
you? What's
I just
stopping you?
started being an adult. I just started work, and I'm just like, how does one adult? Like, I just graduated last year. I took about like a couple of months off, but from when I ended my, when I submitted my last paper and when I was done with university, yeah, it was about a year of just like not doing much and just having my free time. And even university, it was demanding, but you can still work on your own schedule. You have maybe like 2 to 4 hours of lecture a day, and it's like the rest of the time is yours. So you can work in the evening, you can work in the morning, but now when you're working in someone else's time and someone else's schedule, my goodness, like even just, you know, fitness, I love it, but I can barely manage to go more than 2 times a week. So that just says
Come
how
on.
how
What?
busy it is.
It can't be that crazy. What did you study in uni? Let's start with that as well.
Well, I did politics and international relations.
Politics and international relations.
Yeah, and now I'm in the food, fitness, health, and digital marketing workforce. So I just swerve with the direction of life that I was on. So yeah, so I actually, I say I ended up in my degree by accident, because I actually applied for law school. And then when we got the first set of assignments to do, I looked at it and I was like, it wasn't the work that put me off, but I was just like, I don't feel this calling to me.
I don't think this is for me.
I don't think it's for me. Like, I like arguing. I like debating. But then it was just something about it not being so personal that I couldn't get my head around. So I emailed the university just asking them, like, hey, can I hear you have a new course. It's called PPE, and that stands for Politics, Philosophy, and Economics. I haven't done any of the 3 subjects before, so, you know, do you think I can still, like, apply? I got no response from them. Next thing I know, I get a notification that my status in the university has changed, and I look, and it says I'm in a completely new degree. And then I was like,
swapped for you.
well, yeah, they swapped it for me, and I was like, wait, hold up, I didn't ask for this. So I went back to the university the next day, and I was like, hi, I think that someone just changed me. Like, I'm not too sure. Can I still go back to law? And they're like, oh, we just gave your place away yesterday. So I was like, what? So I was essentially stuck in this degree where I was like, all right, well, at least it's 3 in 1, but it was so
Yeah.
difficult because it was 3 topics in 1. So I just decided to focus on the one I like best, which was politics. And yeah, I always wanted to do like humanitarian work or work for the UN or something. So I thought that it would be a good transition.
How about your parents? Is it something that they, you know, because they also have a say? I'm just guessing. I can hear you swapping like all these different
Yeah.
things. You're trying one, you're moving to the next. Like,
Yeah.
were they supportive of that journey or?
Yeah, so I mean, initially I do feel that the law thing was a bit of a stereotype. So it's like, oh, you're smart, you know, it's doctor or lawyer.
Say the
or
doctor, lawyer,
economist or
Yeah.
something.
engineer, perhaps.
Yeah, but that way, like, my parents are very supportive. They're very open, and you know, I've always been an overachiever. So it's quite funny. Like growing up, they'd always push me, and they're like, you know, work harder, like do the best. And now it's just become its own monster where I'm such a perfectionist. I'm so competitive. Oh my goodness, I really want to be the best at everything. And even in university, like, in Kenya, it's quite a small community, I would say. And you might be in the top 10 in your class or whatever, and then you go to university and you're literally just a small fish in a big pond, and it would just kill me. And I couldn't handle that difference where I'm a nobody now.
Yeah.
And so my parents adopted the new motto of like, just be average. It's a good thing to be average. So now whenever I'm like stressed or upset, my parents like, just chill, just do what you have to do, then go home. Just relax, enjoy your life.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I know a lot of my friends' parents are very, very forceful and
Yeah.
strong, but my parents like, yo, just chill, enjoy your life.
But especially for like I think Indian parents, like education is so much like priority. They don't play with that at all. Like they really want you to get that
Definitely.
paperwork and everything right.
And even more so than my dad is my mom, and she's Scandinavian. So like her discipline is,
Yeah.
on point. And so I really do credit a lot of my upbringing to her, because she is, again, who's your inspiration, and I would say
Biggest
it's my mom.
influence
yeah,
as well.
with just her morals and her discipline and ethics, and if she owes you 1 shilling, she'll make sure she'll get to you that 1 shilling kind of thing.
And actually here, like in Scandinavia, like most women are the breadwinners, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But unless my research is wrong, I hear they're super like
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that way Scandinavia and Finland. So I actually did move to live in Finland for about like 4 to 6 months. So I actually went there to pursue professional figure skating.
What?
Yeah, but at that point,
So you can do all that, the spinning and everything?
I was trying to. But already at 13 years old, you're, at that point, if you're trying to pursue a sport or like some sort of professional career, you're already too old.
So these are, because you have to actually start when
Yeah,
you're
I mean,
like
kids
3
are
or
starting,
4.
yeah, when they're
2.
like 4.
Yeah.
And already I'm like, I mean, I wasn't bad, but I, learned on a Kenyan ice rink. So even the ice was different compared to the ice in Finland. Like, just, I like,
Of course,
well done
yeah.
for Kenya for having an ice rink, but
Yeah.
compared to international standards, I had to
Still.
relearn how to skate on ice, and it was just very difficult. So I was like, nope. But when I was in Finland there, like, I feel like the equality between men and women is a lot more bridged. I think that they're very progressive that way. And just their lifestyle in Scandinavian countries, it's incredible. Like, I think they're one of the stress-free people. And I think just the other day, Norway has reduced their work hours from 8-hour days to 5-hour days.
Oh, wow.
And commuting is counted, or it's like, if you have to commute long, it sort of reduces your hours as well.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how like they're focusing on like healthy, happy living.
Okay, now let's talk about just, how, I still have to maneuver around the modeling kind of thing
Oh,
on
wait,
the
we
title,
have to go back.
right?
Sorry, I went so
No, it's all
far
good.
away.
We can just bounce around because as long as we have so much time, you have no idea.
Yeah.
So, do you ever feel like the pressure of like, because people see you as this beauty queen, and you have that title and everything, do you ever feel the pressure of like you need to prove that you're not just beauty, but you have brains as well?
Yeah.
As much as, you've done like, you have all these papers and everything, because I think like a lot of models do have that stereotype where people are looking at them like, she's just beautiful. She can't be like, she can't be smart or...
Yeah. So, okay, this leads me back to another funny story. But I don't know what happened, but in high school there was like some random, when Facebook was really big, and someone made a group page called like Most Beautiful Teens Nairobi.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And I remember some guy that I think had a crush on me posted my photo on that page. To be like, like I nominate her for like Most Beautiful Teen Nairobi.
Yeah.
And I think it was like the first time I got like a lot of likes on like a photo. Like at that point I was like maybe getting like 200-300 likes for a photo, and I got like 1,600 or something.
Yeah.
And so you actually got nominated as this title, and somehow all the schools were enrolled in it, and everyone was posting each other. And I remember for like a long time afterwards, like I would meet people, and they're just like, "Oh, hey, you're that Miss Beautiful Teens chick," and I was like, "Oh my God, wow!" Like that was like the first time I was like, people
Yeah.
are recognizing me for the way I look. But it's really ironic because I don't think I'm bad looking, but it's kind of like I don't think I'm the most good looking either. So actually, I'm pretty insecure.
Come on, you got a title. You got a title
I
for
know.
how you actually look. What do you mean?
But even then, so I'm just like, and that's the thing, right? I feel like beauty can change, and especially so like with Miss India Kenya, right? Right before we started filming,
Yeah.
I was mentioning how like we would do like 4 hours of rehearsal a day at a minimum, but then on top of that I would make sure I was going to the gym like at least 2 hours, you know, the physical shape that I was in then compared to now was very, very different. So it's intimidating for me to change my body type. So I've put on weight and I don't really care. So I'm actually happy about that because I'm
Guys,
eating more, I'm more
I mean-
intuitive.
I mean, I wish you people just go to her Instagram and then just hear what she's talking about, and then we can start that debate maybe later on.
Yeah, no, but so I mean, so there is a pressure because it's like, oh, I have to. I've set myself at such a benchmark, especially
Yeah.
when it comes to, I'd say a little bit of like the fitness industry. It's like people listen to you. Like you're not. It's really mean to say, but like also like if you're going to a gym and if you're trying to pick a gym trainer, you're not going to pick the person who can't run on a treadmill. You're going to pick the person who's absolutely killing it in the gym, right?
Yeah.
So even like when it comes to like fitness influencing or talking about health, right? There's still a certain image attached to it that you have to maintain and keep up. And I've just been finding it, like I said, really difficult because now in university I had more time. Even in high school it was quite demanding for me, but even then, still more reasonable with time. But now with work life, it's all about trying to find that balance and really prioritizing like health and fitness. And I'm just trying to not let the outside noise put that
Just
extra
get in
pressure.
your head a bit too much.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to do what makes me feel good. And that includes intuitive eating, and that's something I've been really big about.
What's that? What does that word mean?
So intuitive is just
I'm not very big on big words.
So, well, speaking of big words, I'm what you call a logophile. So I like
What the hell is that?
a logophile is a lover of words. So I'm really big on like vocabulary. So fun fact, I learn vocabulary in my free time. But yeah, so intuitive is sort of like really like listening to your inner dialogue. And so especially with the world today, a lot of times intuitive eating can also become its own monster where people are like, oh, you only eat till you're like 80% full and then you stop eating. But then also it's like, well, if I really, really want to just eat till I'm full, I want to eat. So it's just really listening to your body. And with intuitive eating, one thing that's so important that I feel girls should definitely hear is you are allowed to take up enough space in the world. Like for a lot of young girls, they feel like, there's a certain beauty image in society, and they should definitely know that, everyone's different and it's an industry, yes, it's a business, right? But it shouldn't affect you and your worth and your value. And if, you are happy and you're healthy and you're a couple of extra kilos more, embrace it, like rock it.
Look who's talking, man.
Yeah, no, so I've actually gone on a weight gain recently.
Yeah.
And rather than it freaking me out, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna embrace it. Like I'm, moving from being a teenager with a more lanky teenager figure into being more womanly. And I'm like, it's not a bad thing. And the one concern though for me is because, again, I'm very big on fitness. I don't really care about the weight gain. In fact, I'm happy. I'm more concerned about the fat gain. So especially,
pretty much toning, I guess, is what you would go for.
And I think that's the beauty about now the weightlifting industry, especially for women, is women are encouraged to gain weight. It's like, oh, like you're seeing all these people like influencers online, on YouTube, Instagram, being like, oh, I'm going in a bulk, and I'm trying to put on like 2-3 kilos, and they're eating really well, they're training even harder, and yeah, like the weight gain is actually encouraged in now this fitness industry, which I think is so good.
Yeah, I mean, fitness never used to be cool until like now on Instagram. Like I see so many women in the gym to a point like I'm like, yo, I really need to start working out, because otherwise like I'd be hideous out here. Everybody else just seems to be taking fitness like a little bit to
Very
the extra.
serious.
Yeah, very seriously.
Oh yeah, and in fact, so I mean, it's always so difficult when you get absorbed into these industries. So
Yeah.
even with fitness, it's at a point it was very much like obsessed with having abs and like being as lean as possible.
Yeah, they're on Instagram.
yeah.
We've seen you.
And but even then, so it's so interesting. Again, speaking of like body dysmorphia, like you,
The hell is that?
so
Listen,
body.
the only word that I learned over the past month, I think it's expeditiously, and that's from people who like are into hip hop. They will understand where that comes from.
But yeah, so body dysmorphia is a thing that, first of all, it can be diagnosed as a
No,
mental
but-
illness.
What?
Yeah.
But what is it, first of all?
So it's when, and you find with a lot of girls and even guys now, guys have something called bigorexia. But anyway, answering the first question,
My God.
body dysmorphia is like
Yeah.
you're not able to accurately see your body for what it is. So like you might.
Appreciate
So yeah.
self-love, or kind of just
But it's actually like you look in the mirror and you don't feel like you look a certain way. So like you'll find people who struggle with eating disorders, for example, think constantly that they're too big, but
Okay.
when you look at them, they're they look really malnourished and really sick, whereas they might feel they look severely overweight. And guys as well now have something called bigorexia. So as much as it affects women, I think now again
Which
with
is
the
what
fitness
that-
industry for men, like it says big, and rexia I think is kind of what they attach to like eating disorders. But guys that go to the gym, sometimes like they don't think they're big enough. And
or they just keep being on those proteins and everything,
yeah,
and they just want to
feel
bulk.
like they need to be big and big and big. And guys are obsessed with being big now. Is like, especially like if you get into like the fitness industry, I really see like guys are just really focused on looking as big as possible. And no, like you're laughing, but I actually saw this on the internet the other day, and I was like, what? Men now in certain countries are injecting themselves with oil.
No, I've seen
It's
with the
crazy.
crazy abs. I think
Yeah,
there's
like
some
they-
Russian guy who has like this.
Yeah, they
Remember
don't-
that cartoon Popeye?
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody
right?
who looks like that. I was
And
just
so-
like, that's insane.
And can you imagine, like, like people are risking their life, and like they're not even working out, but they have this mentality where I need to be big and muscular, and you admit like it's not even like a slight top up of the muscles, like it's actually
It's just like a
deforming,
big thing
And
just
you can,
on your arms.
like, I think someone passed away recently from it, which is why this has become like a much bigger controversy in the world right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's crazy how literally like some people, like even men now, are suffering from this like distorted self-view and self-image. So
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
crazy.
For me, I think I'd just go with like, if I just get abs, which I normally see them from a distance, and I just know if I just work out for like just 3 months, I can get them.
Yeah.
But I'm just too lazy. But I think just with that, but like you said, it's like all mental.
Yeah,
And do you think maybe it's social media?
definitely.
Social media.
Definitely, and that's
Yeah.
the thing, like social media as well has highlighted and glorified people with certain aesthetic values. And I'll be honest, actually, I have completely moved away from social media, especially like Instagram. Like it's probably like my favorite platform. I don't really use Twitter or Facebook,
Yeah.
but at least when it comes to Instagram, like it's very like I would say I use it the most. But even then, I've completely cut down on my browsing time. And I do notice that the days when I'm feeling a little bit insecure or a little bit like down in my mood and I scroll through Instagram, it really, really affects me.
What do you feel insecure about?
Well, I mean,
Just
obviously,
wait. Just hold that thought. I would want to know, like, what would you possibly be insecure about?
Well, I mean, there's just always you can pick on a million things, right? So I mean, like I feel like I'm very square in my shape. Like I have a chubby face. Like
Wow.
it's silly little things that, like other people like so it's just you, but you gotta realize like everyone does have their insecurities.
Somebody would be very upset when they hear you saying that because they'd be like, what?
Yeah.
She's saying that, yet I'm here just knowing that, my whole situation is completely different.
Yeah, no, but and that's the thing, right? You just gotta embrace what your mama gave you, and just be happy as possible with what you have. So, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I feel social media, like it's sad because there's so many young girls who really look up to people who are look a certain way or who are
Or even
you
maybe
know,
getting surgery to that
yeah,
matter.
exactly. Like
And
all
you're
these,
trying to look like that.
like
not,
the Kardashians, right? I
yeah,
mean,
come on, they're
as
just
much
too.
as
Let's just, yeah, I mean,
yeah. And so I'm reading an interesting book. So I'm also a big bookworm.
what about the Kardashians before we go to the book?
Well, so that's the thing that I was saying.
Oh, yeah.
So with the Kardashians, right? Plastic surgery nowadays is a way for people to upgrade already the rich and beautiful even into more rich and beautiful, right? And plastic surgery first was created in World War II as a way for individuals who had gone through the battlefields
Oh,
and have
yeah,
had
and
like
they actually
reconstructive
need.
face surgery,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
example. But then, so it's always the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right?
True.
So that's the thing. So now with people who first who had actual deformities to reconstruct their face, now it's just been used as a way to upgrade people, right? And now there's a whole controversy with like designer babies and how scientists are now finding genes that can switch off like diseases like Alzheimer's, dementia. But what they're realizing is, oh, now we can play around with human genes. So now, like, what's stopping us from like making our kid tall and smart and more
Oh,
beautiful?
true.
So anyway, that's a whole other tangent.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
just what popped up in my head. So you did mention like the stereotype with models.
Yeah.
So yeah, in high school from this Miss India Kenya, no, not Miss India Kenya, but the most beautiful teens.
Yeah.
Yeah, people. I actually met a few people, and they like looked at me, and within like 5 minutes of meeting me, they're like, "Oh, you're actually really smart. We thought you were dumb." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, I guess it fits the stereotype, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I definitely do get people being like, "Oh, I thought you were like shallow or not smart," and I'm like, well,
I mean,
I hope
'cause
to disprove that.
I know some models who are,
Yeah.
they represent that stereotype
I
quite
mean,
well.
some people can ride off their physical appearance, but that's
Yeah.
the thing. I feel like beauty is only skin deep, and it's like if you can't talk to a person, what's the point of them looking good?
Yeah.
You're not gonna hang them up in your house. You're gonna want to have a connection with them and be able to talk to them. And so I think who you are as a person is more important than the way you look.
And it's not like a long-term thing that you can bank on if you keep growing up. Like you've said, you've just
Yeah.
started working and everything. Like
Yeah.
in a work environment.
Oh, your body changes.
Yeah. Or even like, let's just say if you're going to like negotiate deals, endorsements and everything.
Yeah.
Like just now that's where your brain starts working and everything.
Yeah. And as much as it, yeah, so that's the thing. Like, you really, and even when it comes to appearances, I feel like confidence is so underrated, right? Because, like, if you have someone who's good looking, but they don't know how to carry themselves, then, they're not probably as attractive as someone who's more charismatic,
Confident and everything.
right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of the paradox of like the chicken and the egg, where you'll get people who are attractive and they're confident because they're attractive, because they've been
True.
they've been reaffirmed, right?
True.
So they've been encouraged and sort of coodled into being confident because they look a certain way,
Yeah.
right? Whereas then that's why you'll find people who aren't as confident because they weren't like encouraged when they were younger. So I feel like when it comes to self-development and self-growth, like just the way you carry yourself, the way like if you wear something, you rock it, you own it, immediately you're like 100 times more attractive.
Where do you think you fall in that category?
So, fun fact, I actually have really bad social anxiety.
What?
Yeah, so that's
What
the
do you
thing.
mean?
Yeah, no, so people don't know that, and I'm actually very, 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 very social. So I'm like pretty much 100% an extrovert. Like my free time is just spent with people.
Yeah.
I get very uncomfortable on my own, which is actually something that I'm trying to work on because, you know, you should be comfortable in your own.
Explain that to me. The social anxiety and just being, trying to.
So that's the thing. I grew up a lot of being sort of in the socialite or the limelight.
Oh yeah, of course.
And then with the Miss, with the Most Beautiful Teens contest, and I never really had a solid friend group. And so that's the thing, and I sort of was very all over the place. I had lots of friends and lots of different groups, but that's the thing, like I had friends, but they
Those
weren't
like
friends.
just yeah, because it's
Like-
just superficial conversations
Yeah,
about like,
people
hey, you
who
look
I'd
good,
hang
we
out
like your
with.
show. You like,
Yeah, or like I would just go out to parties with different people, or just like go hang out with like different groups, and so I never really felt like I belonged
proper connection.
to anyone, and I only feel like it was in university. So minus like the few people who I grew up with, like Radhika being one of them, who actually brought us here to this podcast.
Shout outs to Radhika.
Yeah, so minus Radhika,
Yeah.
I didn't really have like too many like people who I really felt were like friends who had my back. And it's interesting. So it actually like, I don't know, I had very interesting social anxiety because I felt like I needed to project myself in a certain image or, look a certain way again. The whole like image thing comes into play. So yeah, it's social anxiety.
Social anxiety. I mean, that's wow.
So then when it came to confidence, right, I kid you
Yeah.
not, whenever I'd be going out to places and if it was like a big group, I would actually cry before I would go to a thing.
What?
Just from the stress and
Wait,
anxiety.
come on.
But then-
Wait.
but then- Yeah.
What?
But then I would go there and I literally learned confidence by faking it till you make it sort of thing.
So wait, you could cry before you go to that social setting
Yeah. And then I would...
for no reason at all.
It was just being around people and like feeling like I didn't fit in, right? I always struggled with not fitting in, and yeah, just sort of feeling like I had to really like be the social, dynamic, bubbly person when I just was having an off day, and it was just this pressure of, oh my god, I need to be there, I need to be a certain way, I need to act a certain way.
Do people know this about you?
No, so like insights into Shivani.
Yeah, but that's the thing. At times, when somebody maybe they see you and they have a very different interpretation, they wouldn't know exactly what's going on
Yeah,
with you as much as like you're smiling, you're happy.
yeah.
You have like your own little battles that you're going through.
Oh, everyone does. If you think that anyone has it easy in life, trust me, they do not.
Yeah.
So it's just realizing that everyone's going through their own thing. And yes, sure, your things might be more serious than others, but even then, it doesn't disregard that people do have struggles. So just on that note, like one little life tip or thing that I remember hearing that really struck a chord with me is, people usually say like, oh, you shouldn't feel sad because, other people out there have it worse. It's like, all right, fair, I acknowledge it. Like, there might be some people who are really struggling. They might not have a roof over their head. They might not know when they're getting their next meal. Like, yes,
Yeah.
it is a really big struggle. But then at the same time as well, you can't say that, oh, you can't be happy because someone else is happier than you out there, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing, like,
Yeah, we can't pick and choose such things.
Exactly. So that's the thing. Like, so some days if you're, not feeling, if you're going through your own difficulties in life, it's perfectly reasonable to feel the way you're feeling. You shouldn't be victimized by it, but you
Yeah.
should just, allow yourself to feel the way you're feeling. So, yeah, just a little life.
Have you overcome that?
Yeah. So that's the thing. I feel like I just sort of, again.
And how did you do it?
Again, fake it till you make it. So I'm used to, like, again, with the whole NTV thing, right? I would be so nervous, and I'd be speaking in front of thousands of people, right?
Yeah.
And you can't go on stage and, shake and be all jittery, right? No matter how nervous you are, you just have to, like, put it aside and just, fake it, right?
And this is after doing it for
Years, yes, that's the thing. So people who are struggling with their confidence, I'm like, don't give up. Just keep going. Just keep pushing at it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a muscle. The more, again, oh, me and my fitness analogies.
Yeah, yeah. No,
it's
it's
a
all good.
it's a muscle that the more you train it, the stronger
Yeah.
it gets. So even with your brain, right? All these habits, all these, you know, what you do automatically, it's all just something that you can work on and train.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, with confidence, it's just do it as much as possible. Keep putting yourself out there, and it'll just become easier and easier and easier, to the point that now, like, I don't know, I'm so like, I feel like I've completely shed my social anxiety. I can just go up to anyone, talk to anyone, like just be myself completely. And if you
Don't
don't
say
like
that on
me,
the podcast. We'll put you to a test. We'll
oh
put
no,
you to a test.
trust me. Like, my friends always give me dares because they know I'll
Mm-hmm.
pull through.
But like right now, do you think you've built like just a group of friends? Because like you said, just growing up in entertainment and everything, you kind of like lose that kind of. I wouldn't say like your childhood has been robbed from you, but I can say definitely you miss out on that connection because I'm guessing you had to prep for the TV show and everything
Yeah,
when other kids are playing
yeah.
and stuff.
So yeah, I mean, so that way, like, I never had a Saturday or after school.
What?
It
That's
was.
when kids are playing and
But
everything.
the thing was, I really enjoyed
Wait, isn't
it.
that like child labor?
No, no, no.
It's not?
Completely voluntary. I loved it. And then towards the end, we found hacks where I was able to film like a lot of episodes in a single day.
Oh, in
so
advance.
I
Yeah.
would get some time off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like, so that's one thing as well about me, is I'm very, very, very productive. So growing up, I would literally have no free time. So I would be studying in the car on the way to school, and then in school, like even in class, I was like doing other classes' homework, and break times I would like be productive and finish off assignments, or then lunchtime. So for me as well, being social is also productive. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it. So
Yeah.
for me, it's productive.
Mm-hmm.
So even after school, like I would go for dance classes, and like straight after, I would always manage to fit in everything.
Yeah.
So even with the social life, I did manage to get a lot done, but it was difficult to balance it all out. That's for sure.
It's crazy because I was just being silly and just being a kid the whole time. Like,
Yes, I never watched TV. Funny enough, I
What?
would make TV shows, but I would never watch TV. I just never had the time, and I just don't know. I don't like watching TV. It's interesting.
even when you're a kid, you didn't watch like the cartoons that were there or anything.
Sometimes, but then like definitely from like middle school, high school, it was just not a priority. So yeah, it was like even right now for me, I've just moved so far away from TV. Unless I'm watching TV with someone,
Yeah.
which again I count as social.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't just watch TV on my own. Like it's
Even
very
Netflix?
very rare. Again, I have to watch it with someone. So yeah, because
Okay.
then if I'm the only time, so you have to get me home to watch it, and I'm never really usually at home. So
Yeah, and that brings back to work because I didn't ask what you do for.
yeah, so
Like
now I
now with
work
work.
for Healthy You. So I mean, if there's anyone who would probably go into that field, I think it would
Hey.
be me.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's fun. So I mean, obviously there's a lot of office work,
Yeah.
which obviously is not the most exciting. But there are a lot of good elements as well, where like the whole of June I did live cooking demonstrations, which was a lot of fun. Oh my god, I loved it.
You love
Um,
cooking?
Yes, I used to have the children's cooking show.
Oh,
and
it
then,
was a cooking show.
So it was, we did a little bit of everything. So we had like an animal kingdom, we had like a quiz show, I would just do the hosting, and then for a while we also did the cooking shows.
Yeah.
And that was good fun. So yeah, I just always used to cook for the camera, and then now they wanted to showcase like healthy foods and like healthy snacks and healthy desserts and quick and easy meals that people can have. And so the good thing about Healthy You is I'm all about teaching people and like education
And the
about health.
fitness thing, and that's actually
Yeah,
what you.
and just trying to motivate people to live their best lives and be as healthy as possible. So it's good, but it's difficult because I'm so caught up in trying to help other people or like educate other people and to grow this industry with Healthy You, that my own journey has sort of slowly taken a step back.
But that's why I'm saying, don't forget what you were saying, even though I'm interrupting you.
No, go ahead.
That's why, like now, if you use your social media platform to do that, it even gives you more leverage in bigger partnerships maybe in future.
Exactly. Yes, that's the thing. So now I'm actually really trying to prioritize it. So I'm not a morning person. My goodness, I could happily
I was
sleep in.
worried about today, first of all. Trust me.
I know.
Because I was here and then I was just like checking refreshing my messages. I was just like, oh my God, she better not cancel. Because I know who I'll have that conversation with. Radhika?
Yeah, no.
You told me.
That's one thing about me. If I say I'm gonna be there, I will be there. So I like to stick to my word that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, like me, I'm just not a morning person, but I have to be because I'm always like, I'm gonna go to work early so I can come home from work early and then go to the gym after work. And I kid you not, that has never happened in the 4 months that I started working.
4 months.
Yeah, I'll go to the office and then it's like, oh, I need you to go to like the other side of town. And by the time I get home, it's 7 o'clock. I'm tired. I'm like, okay, we're not going to make it to the gym today.
But you need to make time for that.
Exactly. So it's just all about discipline. Like literally, there's one person who I've made friends with in the gym. He's 15 and I had to ID him. I literally was like, I don't believe this. Like, I need to see your ID. And so he is just the most dedicated, disciplined person I know. He wakes up at 4 a.m. to go to the gym to make sure he gets in his workout. And it's so funny because like even I'm someone who has been in this game for probably longer than he has.
Yeah.
But it's sometimes you need to hear it from other people. And I was asking him like, what's like, how do you stay motivated? Like, even I've gone through phases where I'm just completely unmotivated, really tired, and it's happened with work. And obviously like it's taken me a while to get into adulting. But I asked him, I was like, how do you stay motivated? And he said, it's not about motivation because that dies down. It's about discipline. And I was like, preach to that one.
I was so stupid at 15, man. I can't even start having such conversations at 15. But since we're talking about gym and working out,
yes,
because just doing my own little research, there's one post that I saw you posted and you had something on the caption saying working out helps with
like your mental health.
Mental well-being.
Oh, completely.
How important is that to you? Because like now we're in the day and age where people are just going through it, like when it comes to, and it's like everyone. That's why I'm saying like our parents had it much more easier.
Oh, completely.
Because I think they were just focused on living, just enjoying life.
Their own life. I feel like in this generation we're always keeping track of each other and what everyone's doing.
Social media, man. As
much as we deny it, a lot of people are like, do it for the gram, and I'm completely guilty of that. Like I literally just want to travel sometimes just to take photographs, I'm guilty of it, but I acknowledge it and I'm like, I'm not gonna hide it. Like
the first step is admittance.
Yes, of course. But then also it's like like I said though, I'm not doing it for other people though, I'm doing it for myself. Because I enjoy it. I love going to beautiful places and to do like my own artistic, creative touch to it and try to represent it in a different way. And I'm really big on photography as well. So it's like I like to capture a moment, capture a mood, capture a scenery. So I mean, there's that element. But yeah, with working out and mental health. So I used to dance throughout high school. And from dancing, and just as a way, I just loved it. Like my de-stress was to go for a run, and I would just run and run and run and run, and like running was just my me time. And so, then when I went to university, I couldn't run anymore because it's the UK and it's like raining most of the year. And it was cold in winter, and I'm born and raised in Kenya, so I was like, nope, I'm not about to go
all year round.
I'm not about to go out in this rain and go for a jog. So for the first couple of months of university, I didn't do any working out.
Don't they have gyms?
Yes, I literally lived opposite the biggest gym in Nottingham. I kid you not, it was 200 meters from my door. And it took me a while to get there. But so literally like I just first few months of university, I just completely let that go.
Mm.
I just did my final graduating dance, which is called an Arangatharam. And my goodness, you train hard for it. Like you are doing 18-hour weeks at a minimum of
Is
just
that
dancing.
like an Indian
Yes.
choreography thing?
Yeah, so it's like a whole show. So it's like a 2-hour show that you put up yourself. And it's like a way of you like showcasing your capabilities as a dancer and performing for like a big audience. So it's like a really big deal. So I used to dance a lot for that. And then, so I was in really tip-top shape when I went to university, started eating a lot of junk food. A lot of
As you should.
yeah, a lot of junk food.
Yeah.
Didn't work out. I just kind of grubbed out for a little bit, and I noticed I just didn't feel good. Like not even like physically how I looked.
Just
Even just mentally, I was
yeah.
just foggy. I wasn't eating well, so my energy levels were really low. So it just wasn't the best situation. And I remember I came back from university, and you know, Indian aunties, they literally looked at me, and one of them's like, "Hey, you went to university and you ate a lot of McDonald's." I was like, "Yo," and so I mean, I don't
They
really.
didn't even hide it or sugarcoat it.
No, that's the one thing about Indian grandmas. You put on weight, they'll tell you. You lose weight, they'll tell you. So,
Yeah.
so literally, I came back and I was like, "Oh my god, okay, well, I don't particularly care too much, but like also I did admit I just didn't feel good. I didn't feel comfortable, and that's the thing. Like with working out as well, I mean you can make it into a monster, so it can become its own monster if you become obsessed with it, or
Yeah.
it just becomes unhealthy. But if you work out to feel good, look good, like if it's with good intentions, it's all right.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what, forget this. Like I'm gonna get back on it and get healthy. And what happened was I went back to university, and that message didn't even click until a little while later, where I was so I actually, again, back to me and anxiety, so I actually do struggle with anxiety.
What's
And
anxiety to you? Because like even for me, I think I'm confused right now to what it is exactly.
I mean, it's difficult.
How do you explain anxiety? Because I have different people, like people kind of like know what it means, but it's like people go through different instances.
Yeah, and I
to,
mean,
like,
it always changes.
People like just get outside the house and get like panic attacks.
Yeah.
People do that, and
So I
just
think it's
to you?
it's very personal for everyone, and I
Yeah.
think that also changes. So like I said before, in high school, I was anxious about, social anxiety, and then for a while when I got into when I got into university, and even right now with working, it's like a productive anxiety. Like I literally feel like the rabbit, in Alice in Wonderland, where I'm like, I'm late, and even if I'm like relaxing, I can't relax because I feel like, I'm wasting time. I could be doing something productive, or so my anxieties changed from, social anxiety to now productivity anxiety. And in between, when I was really big on fitness, it was even like fitness anxiety. So I was like, oh my god, if I miss a workout, like all my progress is gonna go down the drain. And if I take one rest day, like I need to train harder the next day. And I mean, so anxiety, I don't even think that if you have one type of anxiety, it stays the same way. I think always it ebbs and flows. So even in university, I don't know. I think one thing that people don't talk about is also how hard the transition is from high school to university, especially if you go overseas.
It is.
Because like I grew up in Kenya, I grew up, like I said, knowing lots of different people. I would go places, I would know people.
Yeah.
My family was everywhere. I have like 250 family members on my dad's side, right? So almost every other person's my uncle or auntie.
Yeah.
And so I came from like such a small pond to like on my own in university. And I was living in a flat with 4 other girls. I had no idea. 2 of them hated each other. It was just like it was a tough transition.
Uni, where were you in uni?
I was in Nottingham.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so that way, like I literally would get anxiety going home, and I hated going home because, like I said, I'd be home by myself, and I went from living with my family to living on my own.
Oh, you're just used to groups of people. Oh, like,
Yeah.
okay, now I get it. Because even from like the show, TV show,
Yeah,
all the
I'm just
different
always
places
around people.
around people.
And that's why I said I was never at home.
Spent time like just being
Yeah,
alone and just.
so I couldn't do it when I would get home from university. I was like, I don't know what to do with myself. So I would literally prefer to sit in the library till 1 in the morning till it's shut, and then go home just to sleep, wake up, get ready, and go for the whole day again.
What, 1 in the morning?
Yeah, and I was like, this isn't health. And I wasn't even like doing work. I was just there to
You
be
just
around
an
people.
escape, just.
Yeah, and so I was like, you know what, no, we need to work on this. So I was like, you know, I'm just gonna go home and face my anxiety. So I would sit there and just try to enjoy it and make it like, you know, play music, like take a hot shower from university, like cook a nice meal. But then what I found was working out was like my mental savior. So I would get home from university, feel super anxious, and then one day I was like, you know what? Let me go to the for a run at the gym that's literally right outside.
Yeah.
It was 40,000 square feet or something ridiculous. It was like 2 warehouses.
Yeah,
And I was
huge.
like, you know what? We'll just go to the gym. And gyms are cheap. It was like £9 a month, which is less like about 1,000 shillings
Yeah,
a month
yeah.
for all of those facilities.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? We'll just go. And I went for a run, and I literally felt like I could think again after the anxiety. But then, yeah. So then I just started getting to the gym as a way to deal with my anxiety, and I felt so good afterwards. And then with working out, you get an endorphin rush. So even if I was having a really bad day and I worked out, I would feel so much better. So I got into the gym purely for mental health.
And that's important, because like a lot of people, like I'd show you a message of somebody who just sent me a message like yesterday, but you know, I don't know whether they'd want me to share it.
You can keep it anonymous.
Yeah, we'll just keep it anonymous. But they were saying how they. Oh yeah, let me just find the message and then
Yeah.
open it up for you. Hold on, 1 minute. Because I posted a video that was talking about people who like kind of like at times isolate themselves just because
Yeah.
of the lack of maybe social skills and stuff.
Yeah.
But now for this guy, he sent me a message. Of course, we'll keep it anonymous,
Yes.
but I'll just show you his message, because he was just like always wondering like how I just keep interacting with different people all the time and everything.
Yeah.
But I told him like it's just because I do it every other day.
Again, just practice.
It's just like you said,
Yeah.
fake it till you.
make it
Yeah,
literally. Yeah.
because like your body, mind, and everything just starts adapting to that kind of like
Yeah.
environment, behavior,
Yeah.
and social skills as well. So here's his message. Maybe you can read it for listeners.
So he says the isolation ruined a part of my life, and he's talking about video games.
Yeah.
If it ruins more than it is up, if it ruins more, that is up to me. Easier said than done. I would likely still be awkward and keep to myself instinctively, but knowing this, I will have to actively push myself out of this state. Video games are most definitely a catalyst, but at the end of the day, it's just a game. My reaction to it is what caused the isolation and the ruin. What's lost is lost. Having to start dating at 30. So yeah, no, I mean,
Yep.
it's so interesting, right? Because again, I'm someone who, okay, truth be honest, I don't know. Like watching TV for me, sometimes. So that's the thing. Sometimes overwatching TV for me feels like I'm just wasting time, not being
Yeah.
productive. And
Yeah.
even video games, like I get how in short amounts of time it's constructive. Like you need your downtime, your fun, your relaxation, right?
Yeah.
But so my boyfriend actually is a very, very avid gamer. So
You're in a relationship? We'll get to that.
yes, I am. But so he's open about it. But he used to play. I hope he doesn't mind me sharing.
Well, just share, man. Just share.
But yeah, so he used to play World of Warcraft, and I think he has over a year of online game time.
That's
Like
crazy.
he literally has lived over a year in this game. And so I've talked to him about it, and I think he's quite an intelligent person.
Yeah.
And he has a very interesting take on it. So I think, so I disagree with people who let themselves get to that level where, you know, they're 30 and they're like, oh my God, you know, I haven't interacted with
And
people.
which is a lot of people if
I
you
know,
think about it.
It's shocking to
Yeah,
me, but it does happen. So I think that, you know, obviously I think most boys up to a certain point in time get absorbed in video games. Even some girls, of course. Like Radhika and I, in fact, our childhood summers were spent entirely playing Sims. All Radhika and I would do for, oh god no, like the whole day, Radhika and I would just play Sims. And I mean, I don't know. So Sims is like our little bonding. So I do
Okay.
get the whole gamer mentality because like
Yeah.
I remember I used to completely live in a Sims world for a few, you know, days or weeks at a time. But I would always return back to the real world.
Yeah.
Right, and growing up, you're allowed some sort of form of escapism. And I talked to Adam, who's my boyfriend.
Oh, his name is Adam.
Oops, accidentally spoken, but yes. But yeah, so he says that, you know, video games for him actually taught him conversational skills because he would play it online with people.
Oh, and you talk to people.
Yeah, and so he
Okay.
talked to people, and he is so strategic. Oh my goodness! If ever I want to make like a game plan,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a military style of point A to point B, and everything that could go along the way,
Yeah.
and mitigate the damage, and he is so strategic, and he completely credits those skills to video games because it taught him to think ahead, to plan, to really strategize, analyze a situation. He was saying how he would lead his team of like 6 people, and they would be like 30-year-old guys, and he would be like 15, and he'd be leading them, you know? So for some people, video games are really constructive, and in fact, study has shown that people who play video games are better at like driving, for example, because they have better reflexes and,
Oh, yeah. They're
and motor
attentive and-
skills.
yeah.
Yeah, so there are some positives, but again, like with too much of a good thing can be a bad thing.
Yeah.
So for some people, if video games and that virtual reality becomes your whole world, then I think that becomes problematic, right? Because that's secondary. This is
Yeah.
the real world.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think it's just, again, reprioritizing your life and thinking that, you know, this world is where I'm going to have to interact and foremost be in. And even if you have to look at the world as like a video game mentality, just to get into it. Like I
Yeah.
know some people who are so confident on a screen and on video games, right? And then
Yeah.
they get into the real world and they're nervous, right?
Like our friend over here.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to him?
Again, just start slow, you know, like if you're recognizing it's a problem, cut it out. You know, if you can't cut it out completely, at least moderate it, mitigate it, you know,
Yeah.
work within a certain time frame of like, you know, don't play video games for hours on end. You know, if you want to come home from work and relax slightly, do it, but then start to develop people skills, you know.
Think of what you can actually learn from that, because definitely even from what you've described, like how you're talking about like your boyfriend with all those skills that he picked from the video game
Yeah.
plus the main score,
Yeah.
which is
You know, now he's like an incredible conversationalist.
no, that's not the main score.
The main score?
Yeah, think it's the main score.
I'm
Besides all these skills and everything that he learned from video games,
maybe
it's
just.
very easy. The answer is very easy.
Oh man, you're gonna have to give
It's
it to me.
obvious. Come on, pick it. Just think about it.
Um.
What's the biggest score for him?
Oh, me?
Of course. There you go. Yes, and the biggest score is
Yeah,
you.
true.
Like if he managed to like, you know, just interact with you and just get on that mind space
Well, yeah, true.
where
actually,
you liked him for.
Yeah, who he is. And,
Yeah.
And in fact, so like I said, I never ever used to play video games, minus Sims on occasion. But again, it had
Yeah.
to be with someone.
Yeah.
And in fact, now it's become our bonding time. So like when I get home from work,
Yeah.
you know, and he gets home and we both had a long day, and just like a way for us to like laugh and bond is,
Yeah.
you know, we'll play video games together.
Really?
And I mean, he knows I can only stand like maybe half an hour. But even then, for half an hour, we enjoy, we bond. You know, I'm terrible at these games, and I know in the beginning he would get frustrated because, you know, like
Yeah.
if someone's so used to doing it and they play so well, and I
Yeah.
just keep getting hit and I die after 30 seconds. You know, so first I could see like he'd get slightly, you know, like, oh, come on, like just play. But then he was like, he completely set that aside and he was like, no, you know, it's our bonding time. You have fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, now like it just shows like even if you're a hardcore gamer, like he has lived over a year in a video game, like but through that he's applied those skills into the real world.
Into the real world.
And so yeah, I mean, like now we've been going out for a couple of years. I mean, we're pretty serious. And yeah, so I mean, gaming can be both good and bad, but then it's just, you know, make sure you know when it becomes destructive. So like you said, like we were talking earlier, like the first step is acknowledging that there's a problem,
there's
right?
a problem.
And when you know there's a problem, you can work on it. And you know, I mean, people skills, they never stop. So you might not be as far developed with interacting with people or people of the opposite sex, or someone who you're interested in. But you know, with time, again, just practice till you make it.
Till you make it, and that's a nice thing, because you know we've kind of talked about so many things.
Yes.
And we just found a segue into relationship and love, because you know that's also like just partly huge on my podcast, because all these things, like we've said, you don't want to ignore one thing in life. We're trying to balance all these things.
Life is a tapestry, so it's all these different things interwoven.
And even like as you're saying, just growing into adulthood, there's so many other things that, you know, you start putting into consideration. If like, you know, who am I going to settle with? What are some of the qualities I'm looking for in a lifetime partner? Long-term plans. I mean, nobody wants to grow old and they don't have kids coming to visit them, or just, you know, like that kind of like family interaction. We all aspire to have that.
And I think, like even I was mentioning earlier, like it's so important who you are as a person, right? Because you could be like the most attractive person in the world, but your morals are not in the right place. You know, you can't hold a conversation. You're self-absorbed. You're, you know, rude person to people. Like you're not being with someone for, you know, the aesthetic, but it's and I mean, obviously it does definitely play a big part. But at the end of the day, like you're really loving a person for who they are. So that's why I'm so big on self-development and self-growth, right? And I really feel like people who take that care and interest into being better people are the people who just in general I've always been attracted to. So the people who are ambitious, who are really kind, honest, I mean all the usual like family oriented, like those are the things that I feel people should focus on more when looking for a relationship, to someone to be in a relationship with or a partner. So any particular questions you want to know?
Hey. I never thought you'd ask, but since you've asked, let's get into it. Because I just have a couple of questions when it comes to this love segment. And let me just go straight into it. We all do need love and everything, and it's like one of those sensitive kind of situations now in the new generation. Like, people just can't seem to figure the right kind of format to it. And like just you being like now you also like can be considered like a public figure, right? Is it problematic, like let's say when you're dating someone and like of course you're like Miss India Kenya, right? Worldwide. And like, you know, let's say things like, you know, do you get crazy DMs and stuff?
All the time.
How's your DM like? How's your DM situation like since?
I get funny ones. I get some really interesting things. But that's the thing, like you always gotta take it with a grain of salt and humor. And the good thing is, like with anyone who's public, like you really hope to find someone who's accepting and solid with that. And so like, you know, it's occasionally when I get like a really funny DM and I have some really great ones, like and fortunately I haven't really gotten any you know, naughty or scandalous ones. So
really?
I've actually been very lucky, touch wood.
You've been very fortunate because guys are crazy.
So the good thing is luckily I've just had more like just people complimenting me or people like sending me funny things. Like I have
Yeah.
someone who I don't even know who just sends me cool DIY art videos, and I'm like, all right, cool, that works.
Yeah.
But yes, I think sometimes I have interesting people slide into my DMs, but I'm very open about it with the person who I'm dating, and sometimes there's something funny.
So you let them see your
We'll
DM?
laugh about it.
Like how's that? Because we're talking about like this whole situation, this social media era and stuff.
Yes.
Like because even a lot of people actually just break up just because of social media and stuff.
Yeah, no, it's true.
So does like your partner have? Like I was telling you, like there's another segue that I'm saving for, like August and everything.
Yes.
Do you let like your partner? Does your partner have like password for your phone? Such situations, such things.
So I mean, like,
Do they get to go through your DM?
Yeah. So we have been in a relationship for a long time, and
Yeah.
obviously, like,
Couple of years.
yeah, and
Okay.
we're young.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's been rocky. There've been lots of ups and downs. And just recently as well, there were a lot of again problems with being a public figure.
Yeah.
Like I would just go out and I would say hi to a friend, and people would immediately start talking. And you know how, at least in my social circle,
I saw so
rumors
and so. I
just
saw so
fly
and so. So and so.
So just to mitigate the damage, I'm just like full transparency. So like the thing
yeah.
is like his approach is, if I have to check your phone, it means I don't trust you, and then I'm not going to be in a relationship with a person who I don't trust. Right? So he wouldn't check my phone, but like he knows all the passwords. It's fully open. If he
Really?
has to look at it, it's fine.
You give out your passwords?
I mean, to him.
Oh yeah, no, of course not to everyone.
like-
I'm just saying to him.
Yeah, and like to my
Do you check?
close
Do you
friends.
check his phone?
No, I don't. Again, same thing.
You
like
don't?
it's just it's very open. So like if I'm curious and if he's texting someone, like as a joke, I'll like maybe look over. And I mean, it's normal. I fully admit, like I'm sometimes like, who are you talking to? Like and
chatting for a while now.
yeah, and,
Yeah.
and you get curious, and but the thing is like you just trust the person, and I think
Yeah.
if you're just open and if you have nothing to hide, then there's no
Yeah.
problem. But I feel like if someone like just generally speaking, if someone needs to monitor like who you texting and who you DMing or who you talking, like why are you talking to this person, and if there's like these questions, then it's it's like how much do you trust the person. And like if you can't even trust a person with what they do on their phone, like
Yeah.
how can you trust them in the relationship? And
Oh,
if
you-
you're in it for the long run,
Yeah.
how are you how are you going to start a family with them or have a joint bank account or
It's
live
true,
together,
man.
So I think it's just
It's like one of the smallest things, but if you just think about it, it's like that only, just that whole password and just access
Yeah.
to it. Like that just is a whole other step that you take just when being in a relationship
Yeah.
that just proves so much.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I think it's
Yeah.
just showing that, like, a phone is very personal, right? So I
Yeah.
think just by the fact of, like, you giving them the password, it's just even showing, like, I have nothing to hide. Like, full transparency, what you want to know, you can see. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you'd have to kill me to see my DM.
I'm sure you probably got lots of tea in there going on.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, no, I
Yeah,
think
I just don't know how people do it, and that's why it's so crazy. Because even at times I just start like seeing someone,
yeah.
and I respect people who are at that level because I know it's like so much
Yeah.
commitment. It's a very big step.
It is, but that's the thing as well, right? So I haven't been like, so if I was like to go back into the dating scenes for some unfortunate reason, which I pray never happens, like I wouldn't know what to do because I haven't been single in a really long time. Like I've had periods, but like to properly start, dating people,
Again, yeah.
I wouldn't know.
Okay.
And I think that obviously that level of trust comes after time. So if
Yeah.
I just started dating someone, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, here's my phone password and, full transparency then. But I think it's like after time when you've sort of developed that deeper connection with someone.
Yeah,
and
if it's
you
after
both know
years,
it's
this is just
serious.
like somebody who's part of you. It's just like
Yeah, exactly. So it's, again, it's all in moderation. But it's interesting because he's completely anti-social media. He is very underground, very low key.
That's proper. Trust me, you're at a happy space.
So no,
That's
but-
the safest place to be in. Because if it was out there and it's somebody who's like outgoing, because
Yeah.
let's think about it this way. What if it was somebody? Let's say if you're dating somebody,
who's equally as social.
and that's why
or-
I ask a lot of people, think about it. Would you rather date somebody who's in your kind of field?
Yeah.
Because they understand entertainment and everything,
Yeah, yeah.
or would you rather date somebody who's a contrast to that environment,
Yeah.
and they kind of like just like you do your thing, let me do my thing.
Yeah.
I don't really have to keep up with like what's going on with entertainment and all
Yeah.
that you're doing.
So I mean, it's
Is it easier dating somebody who's at a completely different field?
So, yes and no. So
Mhm.
like, there's the element of it being really good because it's like, he's very very opposite to me, and I'm trying to take it as a really good thing because like in ways where I'm floating, he'll ground me, or
Yeah.
ways that he's strong, I'm weak, or like I'd say it's like a balance. There's a little bit of what he can bring to the table I don't have, what I can
Yeah.
bring to the table he doesn't have. So we kind of the cliche, we help complete each other. But also at the same time, it is difficult because he doesn't, like, for example, he just refuses to look at my Instagram stories, or he'll never like my photos, he'll never comment on it, and I mean, it's something that's important to me. So
What?
so we do have a little bit of
Trust
like,
me, that's a good thing. You don't want him to be all over
Well,
like your social
maybe.
media.
Well,
I know,
exactly.
but
So
it's
it
maybe
is-
because you miss it, and then you're like,
Yeah.
I really need this like kind of like attention. But I just think,
I mean, so it's kind of, so it is like, sometimes I'm just like, like why aren't you like, did you see? And he was like, oh, I saw, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know you saw. So it's just like an interesting banter, but that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like he's so opposite, but his friends and his family and just like the people who he's interacted with are very big on social media as well. So he understands and he supports me, and like when if I need someone to help me take photos, like I'll make him wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning
Yeah.
for me, and he'll support me where it counts.
yeah,
And I think that's more important. Like a lot of times in relationship in today's age, it's so much so public. Like people just want to look
Everybody's
good
in your
with
business.
someone and
Yeah.
take photos and post of each other on the internet, and it's very a public display,
Ah.
right? But I think that
Another
if
thing,
they're
like-
not supporting you like in
Yeah.
the personal, like behind the camera, I
Yeah.
think that's more important. And I 100% feel like I would pick that than someone who's
Another question.
yeah.
Another question. Now that we're talking about this, and this is so interesting, because there is a whole trend right now of where like this is for women.
Yeah.
You don't like. First of all, you have amazing Instagram pictures.
Oh, thank you.
Amazing, nice pictures.
I appreciate it.
There's a whole trend where like now if you're in any situation that's serious, you don't post your man on Instagram at
Yeah.
all. Or if you do, you do the big emoji face thing.
I think that's a bit extreme for to completely hide off their face.
Oh yeah.
But I do get it though. Like with a lot of people, like again, relationships are sometimes very volatile, and to go public with it, like I just feel like you just unnecessarily need to justify yourself to a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Because especially like with relationships, it's your business, it's between you and the other person, like nothing else should matter, right? So now if you're making it public, right, and how many people are looking at your Instagram, your profiles, and if something were to happen, how many people do you need to explain yourself to? It's a lot, but then at the same
lot.
time as well, there's the element of like, did it really happen if it wasn't on social media, right?
That's always safe. That's
So it is difficult because
Or-
when it comes to like things like weddings or engagements or like big milestones, I would say maybe, but I don't think it's right for people to like flood their whole Instagram with their significant
actually
other.
instead of like a baby reveal, now you'll do a boyfriend reveal.
Actually, yeah, no, I've
on
seen people
Instagram.
do that.
Yeah.
On like some of these famous people who I follow, and it's just crazy how that works out.
Yeah, but I think I've also had like just from some women that they do that because there's also this whole toxic thing that once you post, like, let's say you're a public figure,
Yeah.
you post like your boyfriend. Now other girls start DMing your boyfriend.
Oh. Well, the good thing is he's again not really on social media, so he's like an
Hey.
unknown person.
That's a blessing. I'm telling you, that's a blessing.
So I can imagine though, like
Yeah.
it's
Because if somebody doesn't like you and they're single, what do they do?
yeah, predators. But again, it just
Mhm.
comes to the fact that you just need to trust the person. And you know, like if you're unsure, like, oh, he's gonna get a DM from another girl and go meet her, like, should you really be with this guy?
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
like it's a deeper element of trust. So even if you're going out with like the most famous dude on Instagram, like as long as you know he's solid with you, I mean you could get 100,000 million DMs for all you care, but as long as you know you're solid,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's the main
He
thing.
still respects you and everything.
Yeah,
Oh my God, is this a B?
it's a B. It's cool. I don't mind bugs. It'll just be our addition to our podcast.
You think? Thank God. Okay, so yeah. Another question that I normally just ask everyone, because like even if you notice, like from my platform on the podcast,
Yes.
my audience and just guests quite diverse.
Yeah. Yeah,
From
it's good.
Kenyans, Ethiopians, Somalis, Indians, white people. Like you'll just see a group. When it comes, it's super diverse.
Yeah.
What do you think of interracial dating, especially?
Mhm.
We're specifically talking this. Like, let's say you're Indian, right?
Yeah. Well, half. Yeah.
Or half Indian, half.
Finnish.
Yeah, okay, now yeah. Where do I categorize you? That's,
Well, that's the thing, right?
but
so
when
I'm
you're in Kenya, how do you identify as Indian, right? You don't?
I don't know. It's difficult. So that's the thing, right? So I feel very stigmatized because I look Indian.
Yeah.
But like the way I've been brought up is so Western.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
so yes, that's why it's a so like with your question, I'm a product of an interracial marriage, right? And
Oh yeah, okay.
and so like I'm all for it. Like at the same time, it's so great because you grow up with the best of both worlds. You also grow up with the worst of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
But so it's actually you're a certain type of person called a third culture kid.
Yeah.
TCK, and it's interesting because it's an underlying current that shapes your whole identity. So you're neither belonging to one culture completely because you're also belonging to another. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like you're. I think that's another reason why I didn't really have like feeling like I had friends or people who related to me. Because like my upbringing was so different and like I moved schools in between, so I still used to be friends with my people in the old school, but also I was going to a new school, and in my new school it was full of expats and people from the UN, so people would come and go, so I'd
People are
have friends
just
for
different,
a
yeah.
few weeks or months and then they were gone and
Yeah.
then be someone else. So that's the thing, like it's interesting how like that molds your identity, but I think it's great because I don't know, I read some like funny fact one day that like soon the whole world's just going to merge into like
True.
a collective like everyone's just going to
Yeah.
intermarry and we're just going to have like one race that's a combination of
Yeah.
everyone else. But I think it's good to have diversity in the world, and as long as you're acknowledging your roots and you're paying tribute to both cultures, like it's a good thing.
Okay, now we're going to you specifically.
Yes.
If you found yourself, let's say you were single
Yes.
and there's this black guy who likes you, he
Yes.
approaches you, and he has all these qualities and stuff. Would you be, because like every time, like in Kenya, it's very super common in Kenya.
Yeah.
Every time like an Indian girl and a Kenyan guy
Yeah,
like
I
me date, straight headlines.
Yeah.
It's always on the headlines because we
Yeah.
have like these families clashing and everything.
Yeah.
But let's say you're in that situation and you liked someone, would you date a black person
Yeah. Well, so like
if they met like your qualifications?
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
definitely like I'm not opposed to stigmatizing. In fact,
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw Radhika under the bus, but Radhika and I, like when we were in university, so we were in university together. like there were some, so not Kenyans though, but like there were a few like black people who were just really really attractive.
She said that on the podcast. She said
Yeah,
that.
no,
Huh?
and I think that it's definitely like again, so for me personally, it's more
Yeah.
of like a cultural understanding. So obviously, I just get along with Indians or Western people more because that was my upbringing.
Yeah.
Whereas if I, probably found someone who aligned on the same, path as me,
Yeah,
like
it's
if
just
we
because
had the
of
same
the
mentality.
environment, situation.
Yeah, and if if I was physically attracted to them and stuff, like why not kind of thing. Although I do know I if I wasn't in Kenya itself, I would be like like if I was in the UK and if I found a black person who I was attracted to and we hit it
Yeah.
off maybe.
Yeah.
But like in Kenya, I do definitely see though like being more in the Indian community, there is some like tension.
Oh, it's gonna be headlines.
Yeah.
First of all,
So I
Miss
know it-
Miss India Kenya worldwide.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hey, at least you're really reaching out to your roots and really embracing being
Yeah.
Kenyan. So, I mean, it is a controversial topic.
It is, especially like in Kenya, and I think you know what I'm talking about. It's
Yeah.
always like super like on the headlines and everything.
Yeah, so I don't.
And I think it's just cause we never like every time that happens, there's always like a silence about it. Like people
Yeah.
never talk about it. But the only thing is like right now, people interacting in so many different ways in social media,
Yeah,
meetups,
yeah. And
social events, gatherings, everything. Like people are, like blending almost everywhere, and
Yeah.
you're not in control of who likes who anymore.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just like I fully believe in like a globalized world,
Mm-hmm.
and like love has no color. So if you start to love a person for who they are as a person, like and
Yeah.
if they make you happy and bring out the best in you, then go for it.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so just another question on just when just comes to just dating, like what's a typical like date for you? Like what makes you like, let's say if you're going out, what would be like just an ideal?
Date.
Yeah. Is it going out for food? Is it
Hmm.
popping bottles of champagne? Is it
A little bit of everything? I don't know.
I mean, just saying, like on it typically, like if you're.
Well, I must say though, I like food,
Mhm.
and I'm very much a fine dining kind of gal. So if you wine me and dine me well, I'm very happy. And yeah, I do enjoy going out because again, I'm really social. It's for me,
Yeah.
it's not even going out to get drunk, but I love to dance. I love a dancing environment.
Yeah.
If you want to go dance with me one night, I'm like all for it. Like just interactive dates as well. But I think interactive dates come a little bit further along the line. But I remember one of my first disaster dates that I had. I wasn't too sure about this guy, and you just kind of like go. You just go.
Yeah.
And I was super young. I just was getting into high school, and I was like, all right, well, someone asked me on a date. I'm just gonna see how it goes.
Yeah.
And we went mini golfing, and the standard like, oh, I'll show you how to like how to hit the ball or whatever. And I was just like, no, please, no. I mean, for
I
someone
know how
else-
to do it. Yeah.
Yes, I mean it's anything interactive. I don't know. I'm not really particularly fussy. I mean, at the same time, when I like fine dining, if you took me like camping and like in the middle of nowhere where I had to dig a toilet, and but it was still really cute and you could watch the stars and
Yeah.
camp out, like I wouldn't mind that either. So I'm super versatile. Like I don't know. I'm both a tomboy and a girly girl. Like I'm very both ends of the spectrum.
You've mentioned just a silly question, right?
Yes.
Because you've mentioned about dancing and everything.
Yes.
Man, you like going out to dance, and you've been dancing, of course, since you were a kid.
13 years. Yeah.
13. So, big question.
Yes.
Does your boyfriend have the rhythm dance? Because you love dancing.
He says he doesn't, but I'm like, you can. Let me go out and like I get him on the dance floor. It's good fun. So
But he catches up with
yeah,
just.
of course. So it's
Okay.
good. It's good
Okay.
fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that way, although I keep telling him, I'm like, I want to go for salsa lessons. So maybe one day we'll go together.
Nice. So I think like we've touched on like so much.
I know.
So much, but also just a little like I think like two questions that I had written down for you.
Cool.
One is just about like your vegan diet,
Ah.
because I think like when I went to your other page on Instagram,
Yeah, it's
I
trying to.
noticed that you've posted a little bit of like just
Yeah.
meal plans and something of
Yeah,
the
so my
sort.
snacks and what I eat.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I need to put more effort into that page. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna really try to grow, like, share and, like I said, educate
yeah.
people a little bit more.
Like you actually talk very like I think people would be intrigued like if you
Yeah.
post videos. I'm just surprised that you actually don't post videos,
Yeah, no, I'm trying to. So
especially since you've been doing it since you're like
yeah,
a
no,
kid.
I think
Yeah.
you might just be like the right kick for me to
Yes,
start posting
you
videos.
You should.
So yeah, no, I definitely feel like even if it's not many, but I think it would be
Yeah,
good for
just occasional ones.
sometimes to share. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I
Yeah, the vegan.
became vegan, yeah, like
Mhm.
I would say right before I went to university.
Mhm.
So I was dancing a lot because I had my final graduation thing, and it was so physically demanding. I remember feeling so lethargic, so tired all the time.
Mhm.
I just didn't feel healthy or vibrant,
Mhm.
and I was like, what, like why, And so, I mean, I've always come from a health conscious family, so I credit my mom to my healthy eating just because she's such a big believer on it.
Yeah.
And so, I would just sometimes when I come back from school, I love watching what I eat in a day videos on YouTube. I find it so inspiring,
Yeah.
and especially when there's like healthy stuff. It makes the healthy food look really good, and then it's like, oh, I really want to eat a salad after this, and I really
Yeah.
want to make a nice big healthy salad.
Yeah.
So I would watch a lot of what I eat in a day videos. I remember seeing these girls eating massive amounts of food and just being vibrant and looking healthy and being like, wow, like I really want to be that. Like, what can I do? And I found that a lot of them had a common theme of being vegan. Right? So I was like, let me look into this diet. And I remember trying it out, I was like, I'm just going to do like a week's vegan challenge. And I remember just eating what I saw other people eat on the internet. So lots of smoothie bowls, big green salads. And I remember like I woke up the next day and my skin was clearer. And I kid you not, I describe it to like just literally taking like Red Bulls, but like happy energy, and I just was bubbly and vibrant, and there was such a
Really?
visible difference. Same my mom, and like my mom wasn't too sure about the vegan diet, but she saw the change in me, and even my
Yeah.
friends were like, whoa, like who
Yeah.
is this person?
You actually feel different.
Yeah, and I felt so good. And after that, I was like, this is incredible. So I say I went vegan for the health initially.
Yeah.
But then as I stuck with it, I got more into the animal rights. And it just became such a passion about how the food I ate had an impact on the world. So like even like I'm such an environmentalist. So even about pollution and deforestation and, like just all things environment related, like even the food you eat has such a big impact. So just trying to be environmental and doing it for the animals, and now it's just become a whole package where I just love eating what I'm eating, and I feel like what I eat has a positive impact and can change the world. So that's why I love being plant-based.
Just don't pay too much attention to what I eat, clearly.
Yeah, no. So I think that's one thing with
But
the world
yeah.
today. People don't see the link between what's on their plate, where
Yeah.
it comes from, how much it impacts the environment around it. So I think it's just a snippet of being mindful in the bigger picture in the world.
And even besides that, we just saw the meat expose the other day in Kenya.
Oh,
No, you didn't see it?
no, I did not.
I mean, that's a whole other different story for another day. But
Oh gosh.
let me just ask one more question before we wrap up the podcast, right?
Okay.
What are some of your hobbies just outside what people see on Instagram?
So,
What
like I
else?
said, I'm very productive.
Yeah.
So, I like to read. I don't know. At the current moment, like I just don't feel like I ever have free time. So
Mm-hmm.
like always my free time, end up doing something. Like for example, it's a Sunday and it's my free Sunday, and I'm here doing a podcast with you, and then I'm gonna go home and I'm probably gonna like meal prep. So at least starting my 22nd year tomorrow, I have like a full week's worth of food
Mm-hmm.
ready, and yeah, I mean, sometimes my downtime is like watching TV. Um, Again, it's very rarely not on my own, but it's with other people waving, saying hi.
Is that your friend?
I don't know them, but I like to say hi to everyone.
Okay. Uh-huh.
But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, then gymming I think can count as a hobby because so instead of looking at it like, oh my god, I have to go to the gym, I'm trying to look at it as like, this is a choice, this is something I want to do, it
Yeah.
makes me feel good, and it's like a self-care, so it's like a my own personal like boost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what else I do. I try to paint sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't really get much time, so I do a little bit of art here and there, and then the rest of it's like photography.
Oh yeah, photography as
Yeah,
well.
I love photography.
Mm.
So
Is that something you picked up later on or recently?
no, I started 8th grade in high school. So
Really?
in high school, I was really, really big on photography. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. I was always behind the camera,
Yeah.
and all of my friends were photographers. Well, a few of them were photographers as well, and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
why don't you model for us?" And then I sort
Yeah.
of realized I enjoyed doing that, and
Mhm.
so then I was like, "Why don't I combine the two?" So a lot of my photos on Instagram actually are self-taken.
So you
So-
actually like position the camera
Yeah, set a
and everything?
tripod, set it up, like put a timer,
Mm.
or have a remote trigger. So yeah, like, or if I'm,
What camera body? What's your
I
camera,
used to
camera
have
choice?
I don't know. I feel like my first camera was a Nikon, and I just
Mhm.
kind of stuck with it.
Yeah.
So I used to have the Nikon D3200,
Mm-hmm.
but then just recently I upgraded to a full body, so it's the D750. So I think, yeah, I feel like, oh, that was what was the push to make me take better photos,
Yeah, yeah.
because I just wanted to use it, and then now whenever I go places like traveling, or if I know there's something scenic, I'm like, I have to take my
You
camera.
have to have it with you.
Yeah.
Favorite lens?
I have a pancake 50 millimeter, and the aperture goes to like 1.8, so it's beautiful for portraits.
That's nice for portraits,
Yeah.
for sure. Especially like if you have like a full frame,
Yeah.
full frame and a 50 millimeter. I think you're
Oh,
good.
it's beautiful.
You're
So
good
that's like
for
my
it.
go-to. And the good thing is it's light, so already the camera is
Yeah.
heavy, and that lens is
Yeah, it's actually like
Really
really,
tiny.
super tiny. Yeah. Okay. One last question.
Yeah.
I know I keep saying that, but
There's so much to
conversation.
talk
There's just so
about.
much to talk about. And last question would be, because I ask everyone on the
Yes.
podcast this. What's the one thing that you think you're in pursuit of right now, and if you got it, it would give your life like better direction, meaning, sense of
Yeah.
happiness? What's that one thing that you think you're chasing right now?
Ooh, I don't know. At the current moment, I would say it's time.
Time.
Yeah, like that's the thing. There's so much I want to do with my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just the kind of person who, second I have free time, I line up something else. And I think with time, there's always enough time if you make it. So I think it's a balance with life. So just balance with life and contentment. So even when I'm at work, I'm trying not to think of work as work, because
Yeah.
it's stuff that I enjoy doing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I know if it wasn't labeled with the word work,
Yeah.
I would be having fun with it. So I'm
Yeah.
just trying to change that outlook. So minus, I think it's just balance, and like with that comes discipline. So just being able to schedule myself to fit in like my gymming and eating healthy and meal prepping. And that's the thing, like what makes me happy is just doing things that make me feel good. So like, being disciplined with the gym, taking that time and dedication, which I feel like I haven't done at all for the last couple of months.
For the longest time. Uh-huh.
So that's why it's something that I know will make me happy. And it's tough because it's a delayed gratification, right? It's not like you work out and tomorrow you're going to wake up with abs, right? And it's not even about the physical look, it's about the mental. It's how it makes you feel, the endorphins. So yeah, I'm just really trying to redirect my purpose and what I'm doing, and just to be content and happy and mindful with everything I'm doing. So I think it's like an inner peace that I'm looking for right now.
Well said. Well said. Well
Yeah.
said. So, I mean, is there anything else that you have going on you'd like to, you know, plug on the podcast?
Yeah. Well, so just the last little things, like I
Yeah.
said, with girls and even boys, with social media, like it's so important to make sure that you look at the world with a mindful lens. And like I told this to you before,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna tell it to everyone.
Yeah.
It's you have to realize that people show their highlights on social media. Like people very rarely will show their slumps.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a topic that I don't even think we'll have time to get into, but I was in a wheelchair for 5 months and on crutches for 4 months because I had a really bad knee problem. Yeah, so I
Do
was...
people know this?
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? I was pretty public with it on social media, and I was told by very many people, including my family, like, stop.
Stop.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, why? Like, people, like, I was going through a really difficult time, and my family's like, no, and even like friends are like, don't tell people. Like, why do you need to tell people that you're going through a rough time? And I'm like, well, why should I not as well? Like,
Yeah.
I'm unable to walk, and I actually didn't know if I'd ever be able to walk again.
Oh my.
And then, they're like, I'm like, why should I not share my difficulties? Someone else might be suffering
Going
through
through
the same
something,
thing.
and
I actually made
yeah.
so many friends with people who had injuries and people who are really big on fitness and working out who had injuries that, completely derailed their entire purpose. So even like I used to do professional dancing. I can't anymore because I don't trust that my knee will
Be able to handle.
will be able to handle it. And even working out, that's actually what killed my working out momentum, was because I was in a wheelchair. How am I going to go to the gym? So I had to like sit doing nothing for 9 months and getting back on that rhythm and routine.
9 months.
Yeah, it was really difficult. So even till today, I have really so that's why like some days I have so much pain I can't even go to the gym. So that's why I'm just trying to find things that are low impact, like yoga, that make me
relax, doesn't
relax.
strain you too much.
And that's why, so instead of thinking like, I need to go to the gym and kill myself and train hard and get muscles and be strong, I'm just like, what, now for me working out is just about feeling good, being healthy, rehabilitation. So make sure that you have a balance in life. Don't overdo the gym as well, and do it for the right reasons. Like, you can't go to the gym to look good, because that motivation, trust me, will die out real quick. But if you're focusing about how good you feel after each session, how well you're sleeping, how clear your mental clarity is, like, those are the things that should make you want to go to the gym. And should motivate you. Again, so motivation should come from internal validation.
Yeah.
Like, you want to feel good for yourself, not for other people. Yeah, that's my last little bit.
Hey, well said, well said. You see, I don't even have like a follow-up for that. So where can people find you on social media?
Well, like I said, I do have a Facebook.
Yeah.
And it's the same, Shivani Shah Uusi-Einola.
Yeah.
And it's spelled as UUSI-EINOLA.
I'll make sure I put it down
Yeah,
on the
so
links
it's
below.
a really long name. But on Instagram it's Shivani Einola, so it's really short and quick, and that's usually where I'm most active. I do like Instagram when it's used for powers of good. It's really healthy. So again, another tip of advice: all the girls who are following like unhealthy blogs or unhealthy people, like, trust me, just unfollow them and start following people who preach meditation, wellness, happiness, intuitive eating. So like even like everyone talks about minimalism, so even I preach digital minimalism. Like, make sure that you're following people who add value and benefit. And
Otherwise, that's where people start falling into depression and stuff, because now you start comparing yourself, even though you're trying to achieve this as much as you are, and you're not achieving it, and then why is this other person doing it so easily? We can get tied into that whole
Exactly, and that's why, like, on my Instagram, ever since my knee thing happened, and I got such a negative backlash for sharing my difficulties. I do admit I have sort of stopped sharing too many personal things on social media, but at the same time, I still keep it very real. So for the things like all fitness, food related, I am sure to tell people how it is. If
Yeah.
I'm gaining weight, I tell them like, yeah, it's like. I don't mind it. I'm happy, but at the same time, I'm not happy with like my water retention, and I do know that my weight gain has just come from eating junk and now having a desk job and not working out and coming home and ordering takeaway most nights of the week. I'm just like, you
Yeah.
know what? Like,
Yeah.
it made me feel good, but now I'm noticing that I don't feel as healthy as I used to, so I'm doing it for good reasons. And if, getting back into being healthy and fit is a byproduct of it, then bring it on.
Hey.
Yeah.
Listen, that nobody can top that. I mean, like that's all we need to. I think that's where we can actually just wrap up the podcast, because I
was
think we've
great.
touched on everything.
I know, it was long, thank you. But
How do you feel about the whole
Oh,
conversation?
it was great. Yeah, no, it was good. I definitely opened up on quite a few things. But I'm just like, everyone has their own story, and I think it's good to share so people out there can relate.
Can even just connect, because I'm guessing, like, even when you're doing like just press on radio or TV, it sticks to the minimal, like,
the
formal
agenda.
just agenda
Yeah.
of this and that. They don't really tap into the personal,
Yeah.
and that's where, like, even a lot of these young kids who, like, are just watching or maybe are following you,
Yeah.
and
They need
they
to
don't
hear it,
know,
like, everyone
they
has their
don't know all
struggles.
these other things about you, because they
Yeah.
just also get the highlights as
Yeah.
well. They only get the highlights. So thanks for sharing, and
Yeah, it's great.
thanks
Thank you
for
for
coming
having
through.
me.
You are so welcome. And I
Yeah.
hope we recoup on another, like, just podcast session.
Yes.
But that thing that I've told you about, so we'll
Yeah.
definitely have to do that.
Secret little sneaky things coming
Oh,
up
yeah.
in the next
Oh,
couple
yeah.
of months.
Yeah, yeah,
so-
I have something. We have something special for you guys.
Yeah.
So thanks for tuning in, guys. Again, you can find us on, of course, on iTunes, the Kiskapades podcast, YouTube, the Kiskapades podcast, Twitter, Facebook, all those social
Instagram.
media platforms, Instagram as well.
The big
I mean,
one. My
yeah,
big
yeah.
one.
Yeah, so make sure you follow, like, subscribe. That's the only way you show that you're appreciating the content. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. It's the Kiskapades podcast. Goodbye.